live. Once again, everybody, please accept my apologies for the technical snafu. Yesterday's 1 p.m. live stream basically had to cut it very short. I think it was on for maybe a minute or so. Let me just try to get this sorted out. So yes, my apologies for that. However, I did have a great 1 p.m. live stream. Sorry, 1 a.m. live stream this morning, and now I'm back. So let's give it a few minutes. Let's see who wants to jump in and say hello. Again, any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, let me know. And today I want to talk about the budget, Canadian federal budget. Now, it's not passed yet. Evening, Dylan. So we don't know for sure if what was in the budget will actually, or the budget will pass as it is, what potentially may change. However, the reason I want to bring it up is because there are certain things that I believe could be a benefit to Masonic lodges from the budget, or Masonic buildings, two in particular, both related to grants and funding for community events. So let's give it a bit of time. Let's see who joins. I am well, Dylan. I hope you are well also. Thank you for being here. I hope, like I said, that you're having an excellent day. How is your night going? And by the way, everybody watching this, if you want to do a 99-cent 99-cent super chat, I would much appreciate it. Or if you just want to hang out, I'd appreciate that as well. Hit that like button, etc., etc. Let's give it a few. Let's see who joins. As always, for the first hour, it's just going to be hanging out and chatting. Not any specific topics, and then we'll talk about the budget. I'm assuming without 90. Oh, wish. No worries. In that case, I'm just happy you're here. Just you being here supports the channel big time, and it's much appreciated. Let's give it a bit more. As always, first hour, though, I just wait to see who joins. So no specific topics for the first hour. This morning I was at Apex MMA training. I always say Freemasons should take care of their health, and I still believe Freemasons should take care of their health, so I did some MMA training. However, my arms are tired at the moment. The other thing I need to think about is what I'm going to do on the 21st. Normally, on the 21st of every month, starting since, I guess it would have been August or even July, I've done 24-hour live streams, starting at 2 p.m. and then going till 2 p.m. the next day. I'm not able to do that this time because I've got a degree.
Christmas is at Green Bucks and Granddad.
Sorry about that. However, what I was thinking is I may do a members-only stream, a members-exclusive stream for that day instead. So if you're a YouTube member, the Rough Asher, you can maybe, or Perfect Asher, you can maybe watch a stream with me where it's exclusive to members. And I may even do one stream on that, one stream for Patreon members specifically as well. Encouraging people to check out those things. That's true for every budget. That's true for every budget. It's not unique to this one. I'm just pulling up the info right now. But for now, let's give it a bit of time. Let's see who joins. It's interesting. It seems like my 1 a.m. streams are more popular than the 1 p.m. streams. So who knows? Maybe I have to go more to those once again. But for the time being, let's give it a few minutes and let's see who joins. Please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let's give it some time. I actually have a lodge meeting tonight in Harmony Lodge, which is one of my affiliate lodges. So I look forward to that. We'll see how it goes. Which actually are elections tonight, so those are always fun. Poppy should be on the left side. Well, I try to do it here because I want it to be easily visible, because if it's over here more, sometimes it's harder to see. Or, it covers up this one. But I can move it over a little bit. Montana MM says Dutch. Well, I'm sorry that you're not in good standing. I'm not sure if it's you just chose to kind of leave Freemasonry for a time, which does happen, or you walked away, which does happen. However, Dutch, I still hope you hit the like and subscribe button. And let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry, maybe even your experiences being a Montana Mason. If you want to talk about why you're not in good standing, by all means. It's good of you to mention that at the start, though. Sometimes people will be Freemasons, but they'll be not in good standing, and they won't admit that they're not in good standing. It's another reason why I always tell Masons, even if somebody has even if somebody has a ring, has a symbol, even has a dues card, that doesn't mean they're in good standing. You should always ask that as well. But Dutch, I think you've been on the stream before. I feel like that name's familiar. Either way, let me know how you're doing. I was going to talk about the Canadian federal budget and some items in there that I believe are of benefit to Freemasons. However, you may have other things you want to talk about. Well, I don't know if that's true or not. That sounds very not true to me, Auslander. But I will say Jewish people, there are many Jewish Freemasons, but Freemasonry is not a Jewish, nor Christian, nor Muslim organization. It's not a religious organization. Dutch, well, I mean, you have to obviously put your family and make sure you protect the peace of your home life, I suppose. Did you, I would think Karl Marx invented, actually, I don't know who invented communism. I can't say. I would think Dutch, so long as you left with your dues paid and gave your lodge notice and didn't just walk away, then that's all that can be asked of you. That's all that can be asked of anybody. And Auslander, since this stream is about Freemasonry, why would you write Jews invented communism? Because my assumption is you would think, based on that, you think Freemasons are either, it's a Jewish organization or a communist organization, and it's neither. That's a sign we're doing something right, Auslander. It's kind of like a restaurant. If you go to a restaurant and every night it's jam-packed and more people want to get into the restaurant, that's probably a sign that the restaurant's doing something right. So if more and more people want to immigrate into Canada, it must be a sign that Canada's a pretty great place to live. Please, by the way, Auslander, since you just got here, hit the like and subscribe button. I'd very much appreciate it. Well, that is definitely not true, Auslander. I'm sorry to report. You have been seeing some incorrect information on the online. Jewish people did not invent Freemasonry. Nor for that matter did they invent stonemasonry. Who invented stonemasonry would probably be the first, human ancestor from our evolutionary tree to create a stone tool 3 million years ago. But Freemasonry, to the extent that it was invented, I think evolved is a better term, that was in the 15th, 16th, and 17th centuries from stonemason guilds. Well, I hope to be a human ancestor. I don't have any family or kids at the moment, but maybe one day, in which case I will be someone's ancestor. Hello, Vincello. However, I believe I have many ancestors. Yes, met a nice Canadian girl, and the rest is history. Um, so let that be a lesson to all you British moms out there. Don't let your sons meet Canadian girls because they'll steal them away. Who knows? Maybe when I'm in England in about 2 weeks, I'll meet a nice English girl and then move there. Hello, Courtney. How's it going? Yes, Vincenzo. I am a Mason. I've been a Freemason since 2007. So almost 20 years, which is crazy to think it's been that long. Um, I'm going to ask this question. If you're, American or you don't pay attention, you might not know, but nonetheless, do you think the Canadian budget I'm an American. Okay, I'm Canadian, born and raised, but I love America. I always say Canada is the greatest country in the world because we have the greatest neighbors in the world. What are involved in the Freemason rituals? Well, for that, I can't tell you because you got to join. What I always say when people ask is there's nothing involved in a Masonic ritual that would be contrary to one's religious, civil, or family obligations. There are lessons that are imparted based on kind of Masonic philosophies. Beyond that, there are symbols. So there's symbols like rough ashlars and perfect ashlars and tools, which we apply to ourselves metaphorically. But if you want the specifics for that, you got to join. But again, the purpose of the ritual really is over talked about, I think. The purpose of Masonic ritual is the same as the purpose of any other ritual, is to create bonds of brotherhood or bonds of friendship through shared experience. Well, that is a very strange thing to bring up, Auslander, but I promise you my cat is safe. I hope everybody is doing well. Thank you again for being here. Vincenzo, Auslander, I hope you hit the like and subscribe button. I do not, but it sounds very suspicious to me, like potentially made up suspicious. Interesting. Yes, 50%, no, 50%. Do you think the budget will pass? We're going to give it a bit more time. We're going to wait to see who else joins. As always, the first hour of these streams, I don't have any specific topics. I sent you a message. Thank you, Mr. Keeps. I think I sent you a message on Patreon. But thank you for your worry, and thank you for the 2. I appreciate that as well. Auslander, that's not kind. Yes, let's get those likes up. Do you believe that Canada is going in a positive direction? That's a tough question. I mean, as compared to what? Like, I'm very concerned for the direction the world is going as a whole, and different countries in the world. I'm very concerned where they're going. And if you were to ask me where I would like to live, it would be America. Sorry, it would be Canada, more so than America, more so than England, more so than anywhere else in the world. I'm proud and happy to be Canadian, and it's where I want to live, and I think it is the greatest country in the world. I have some concerns with some of the directions it's taking, but I still think I'd rather live here than anywhere else, and I still think that overall I have optimism for the future. I know that's not a great answer, because it's so hard to say, right? How many times have we thought things would go badly and they turned out great? How many times have we thought things were going very well and they've turned out badly? What I'd say is there's no other country in which I'd rather live than Canada. So, well, California is a great state. I love California. I've been there 3 or 4 times. And that's my concern, right? That the world is becoming more divisive along what I would describe as arbitrary lines. It may not feel arbitrary to the people making the divisions, but religious or ethnic divisions. I'm proud of Canada's multicultural history and its multicultural um, kind of emphasis. I think that's a strength. I'm proud of our welcoming nature. I'm concerned that we are seeing some divisive language kind of make its way to our country, which concerns me. Even amongst friends of mine are speaking in ways that even 20 years ago I don't think they would have, and that concerns me. Having said all of that, like I said, there's no country in the world I'd rather live in than Canada. Greatest country in the world. I'm trying Vincenzo, but it's very hard to control the world. I don't think anybody, Mason or not, can control the world. I've talked about this before. There are too many competing interests. Um, Canada does not have a multicultural history. Well, I mean, define recent, right? Like I was born 83. Since the 90s, I've been hearing about multiculturalism and kind of been a supporter of it. Uh, so yes, that's not, I mean, that's 40 years, 30 years. So again, in, 1883, obviously, multiculturalism was not a thing. But even then, I feel like generally speaking, there was, there was more of an emphasis on being welcoming in Canada than other countries, even relatively early in its history. Um, I will also look up the henpecked husband. Dad, thank you for the suggestion. As I mean, I'm not a big fan of terms like globalism, I'm not a big fan of isms in general, whether it's capitalism, communism, globalism. I think isms take complicated ideas and make them far too simple. Um, what I would say is certainly in some ways politically I've moved more to the left, especially on economic matters. I can say I would take our healthcare system over the healthcare system in the States any day of the week for whatever it's worth. So yeah. Nam Rofni. No, we did not. I can say here with confidence that the Freemasons did not, have anything to do with JFK. You can take that for whatever it's worth. Welcome, Christopher. The Enterprise with the shuttle on. There's an Enterprise coming. There's a new Enterprise coming out, like a new Lego Enterprise. How's it going, Christopher? Okay, so Auslander, things change for better or worse. Things change. Demographics change. I try to be more sanguine about the changing world. It used to really bother me when I'd see things change in a way I didn't like, but I've come to accept that kind of change is what it is. It's very hard to fight against it. I do not know what Knoxism is. Oh, brothers in the Philippines. I hope they're okay. Um, I I was honored to visit some Masonic lodges in the Philippines in June in Manila. Beautiful country, very friendly people, a packed country. I could not get over how many people were in the Philippines, but still, very cool people, beautiful country, beautiful, friendly people. I hope everybody is okay. Star Wars, I gotta disagree, Auslander. I loved Star Trek growing up. I kind of fell away from science fiction in general. Now it's scary movies and horror movies for me. However, if I had to pick a science fiction franchise that I love, it would be Star Trek, particularly Next Generation. That's what I kind of grew up watching. I do not know what the Hart Celler Act is either. Um, it can't. I mean, I can say I can only give my personal experience with the healthcare system, which is it's always treated me incredibly well. And I was born missing my legs. I have other medical conditions that are lifetime, like chronic conditions, and I've always felt very well treated by the healthcare system. And my mom, when she had cancer, she passed away now, but she had cancer. And I was very impressed with the way the health system treated her, including in her final days when she was in palliative care. It's one of those things where there is no such thing as a perfect system, healthcare or otherwise. I think it can be made better. I think you strengthen it through as much, not just governmental programs, but community supports as well. I think both are necessary. Having said all that, I have respect for the Canadian healthcare system. Well, Auslander, let's try to avoid conspiracy theories here. You've got Candace Owens for that stuff. We're going to give it another 40 minutes. We're going to start talking about budget 2025 and the initiatives therein that could be of benefit to Freemasons or benefit to Freemasonry. So we're going to give it a bit more time. As always, please, if you are just joining us, take a moment to hit that like and subscribe button. And let me know what your thoughts are on budget 2025. To my knowledge, they currently need 2 more votes to see it pass. So I suspect they'll get it. But these are initiatives from within the budget that could be a benefit to Freemasons. Certainly Masonic lodges and Masonic buildings, but even Masonic groups that want to engage with things. When I say engage with things, I mean engage in public programs and public events, things like that. But in the meantime, let's give it a bit more time. Let's see who joins. I may advertise this stream on some channels. We'll give it a bit of time. Well, I mean, you can't have British Columbia, so I'm very sorry to say you'll have to live without it. And I would say Canada's a pretty decent neighbor to you guys, so I'd keep that in mind as well. I don't know how many enemies America can afford to make at the moment. You already seem to be not the most popular, belle at the ball globally. I'm not sure if pissing off Canada would be particularly helpful either. I don't know if anybody plans to be traveling, but according to CNN, Trump admin cutting flights at 40 major airports starting tomorrow. Airports in New York, Chicago, Atlanta, and elsewhere will see cuts as air traffic controller staffing shortages continue due to the shutdown. I've said a million times, to be a Freemason is to be a traveler. I've been lucky enough to travel throughout much of the U.S., including take flights through Chicago, through Atlanta. So anybody who's affected by these cuts, whose travel is affected by these cuts, and obviously to the air traffic controllers who are basically working without pay at the moment, I guess my thoughts are with you for whatever I can say. Yes, the Trump administration said it will cut air traffic by 10% at 40 airports, including hubs like New York, Chicago, and Atlanta, starting tomorrow if a deal isn't reached to end the impasse, potentially impacting thousands of flights. According to an airline official, the administration is also weighing a 4% reduction in flights starting tomorrow, increasing 1% each day. The shutdown drags on. I've actually got videos of me in Chicago O'Hare Airport. It's a really cool airport. I like it. I like Chicago in general. It's an absolutely amazing city. Harry, I don't think the American, I mean, I don't know. I'm not an economist, but I don't think the economy is crashing. I think it's in for some rough winds ahead. That's for sure. I think it's definitely in for some challenges. I wouldn't say it's crashing. I am not a I don't think I am a remote viewer. I don't know what remote viewing means, subscribe, but you can still subscribe to my channel, such as your name, and I'll try to figure out how I can be a remote viewer, whatever that is. Maybe. I mean, Mr. Keeps, you're not wrong necessarily. However, the question as to whether it's going to pass or not is a whole separate question, right? They've already had one floor crossing, which doesn't shock me at all. I wouldn't be surprised if we see 2 more floor crossings in the next week, from the Conservative Party, to be honest with you. It would not shock me, because there was some programs in the budget targeted at specific conservative ridings. So we'll see. Again, whether you like it or not, for me, my interest is there anything within the budget that will be of benefit to Freemasons? Or when I say benefit to Freemasons, I mean that Freemasons can, of which they can take advantage of, like programs, grants, applications, things that Masonic lodges or bodies could use, whether it be tax credits on buildings or funding for energy retrofits or other things we'll talk about in about 30 minutes. I would be surprised. We'll see. I would not be surprised at all. Also, I would be shocked if the NDP voted against the budget. The NDP cannot afford an election. They would be destroyed, if there was another election. They just don't have the capacity to campaign, let alone expect to do well. So I'm sure if there's no more floor crossings, I'm sure the NDP will find a reason to vote for the budget. Having said all of that, I strongly suspect we're going to see another floor crossing or 2. Yeah, I talked about that show, The Pit. I love that show. I guess they're coming out with the 2nd season at some point. I talked about that show like a few months ago on a stream. Basically, the emotional cost of trying to help people, whether it be through Freemasonry or emergency medicine or whatever else it is, and how we need to be aware of those costs. Unless the new season's already out. Well, I mean, I cannot imagine. As I take my coffee, I cannot imagine the strength it takes to be a doctor. Like I'm famously, famously always bugging Masons to get their first aid, and I have my first aid training, and it's up to date. I mean, and I pray that I never have to use it. I never have to give CPR or help somebody in a medical situation. To actually, voluntarily put yourself in a situation, in a job where every day you're potentially dealing with blood and guts and people at their worst, and to be expected to function like nothing but respect to medical practitioners, whether they be doctors, nurses, even the maintenance staff and the janitors, custodians who work in hospitals, who keep them clean and sanitary as much as possible. Nothing but credit and respect to them as well. Well, I mean, they're not going to put it like that, obviously, Mr. Keeps. They'll find a reason to argue that it's a decent budget, or the Liberals will give them something at the last minute, like maybe an increase in, I don't know, whatever, the Canadian Dental Plan or something. To get their vote. or abstain from voting as well. Yeah, either way, they just can't. I mean, if there was an election tomorrow, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, the Liberals would clean house, right? The voters would punish the Conservatives, they'd punish the NDP for forcing an election, and the Liberals would have a majority easily. Because no one would, this budget, despite kind of, if you're already partisan in some way, then you have your opinion on the budget and it's set. But for the average Canadian, they don't care about the budget one way or the other. They would just be annoyed and put off by having to go to the polls, and they would vote with that anger by rejecting the parties who caused it. Right? No one will think that this budget was so crazy that it forced the other parties to vote against it, unless you, again, are already inclined to think that way. Well, I can get off the wheelchair, Auslander. I'm actually a professional wrestler. I need my wheelchair to travel long distances. So, this morning I was at my mixed martial arts MMA training, and I needed my wheelchair to get there. But once I got there, I got off the wheelchair and threw hands with some people. It's kind of the where you're at. But that's a good lesson. Never judge a book, right? Having said that, I pray I never have to use CPR. And if I do have to give somebody CPR, but they're up like 3 flights of stairs and there's no elevator, that would suck, because it would take me a couple extra minutes to get up the stairs than somebody with legs. So if you do need CPR in my vicinity, please try to need it, not up a hill or up a flight of stairs for me. It'll make my life more difficult. Well, Auslander, once again, it sounds to me like you are very much obsessed with Zionism and Jewish people and things like that. I think you got to take everybody as I don't ever really say this, but it's true. You got to take everybody as an individual, at their value, right? Things like Zionism, those are political ideologies, political opinions. People can have their own opinions on those things, but that doesn't mean you should cast aspersions on anybody for being part of a group, ethnicity, religion, whatever it might be. Right? When you're doing stuff like that, it's not cool. And one thing we learn in Freemasonry, I would argue, or at least I would say the philosophical idea of Freemasonry, one of the main ones, is it's not about your race, your ethnicity, anything like that. What matters is what you build, either metaphorically or literally. And if you build something good, then you're a good person. That is my oh so humble opinion. But yes, the Pit is a great show. We got a Colby Jack on here. You can't see him, but he's saying unkind things, so we'll just leave him be. In terms of delays at airports currently, Houston, George Bush Intercontinental Airport, Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport, New York, Dallas Fort Worth. I've been to Dallas Fort Worth Airport a bunch of times. San Francisco, been there a bunch of times. Nashville, been to that airport once. So, to anybody who's traveling, again, especially if you're traveling for anything, but even Masonic events, I hope your travel is not negatively affected. Well, I mean, I am against any type of sexual assault. I'm just going to say that on this channel. I know it's a brave position to take, but that's my position. Here's a question though, Alexander. What is it about this stream that, again, because we talk about Freemasonry here, I feel like you're under the impression that Freemasonry is connected to like Freemasonry is like a Jewish organization, which is not the case. So I think you may have some incorrect information about Freemasonry, right? Freemasonry was started in, you can pick your dates, but it was started in Scotland or England around 1634 and officially started in 1717. Yes, that was my advice too. Don't be afraid to push down hard. Um, because you got to get the blood pumping, you got to get the blood circulating so it's carrying oxygen to places that need it. Um, and, just don't expect that if they don't wake up in 2 minutes, you failed. Keep giving CPR until the paramedics arrive. Because your job is just to keep the blood circulating, keep the blood pumping, and buy time to allow the paramedics to arrive. Well, but it wasn't founded by Jewish people. It was, again, there are different people you could credit with founding Freemasonry. I would credit Anthony Sayer, who was the first Grand Master of the Premier Grand Lodge of England, as being the founder of Freemasonry. Ashmore was the first Freemason in England. There were 3 Freemasons, speculative Masons in Scotland in 1634. I can't think of their names now. Alexander, there's 2. I just talked about it last night. But anyways, the point is, right? Freemasonry was not founded by Jewish individuals. I mean, Brother Courtney, for that one, I would say, I suppose the most effective form of CPR is the CPR you're doing, but really what it is you need to get trained, right? You need to get yourself properly trained, make sure everything is up to date, and that is the most effective CPR, the type of CPR to which you've been trained to do by a certified and licensed first aid organization. There's a million of them out there, but make sure you're getting one that's legitimate and certified. And that both ensures you'll be doing things as safely and correctly as possible, but it will also protect you from liability potentially. So get your stuff from a reputable source, and that's the most effective form of CPR. I have no idea what 109 countries over 1,000 times means. There's Freemasonry in almost every country around the world. I mean, I do not know to what you're referring. I mean, there are CPR machines that, like on the pit, they had a episode where they had a CPR machine. It was like this. It was a really cool looking machine. They basically put it over a patient's chest, and it was doing the pumping for this elderly patient while they were waiting to figure out if there was a DNR request or not. So I know many people from India, Indians, and none of them, to my knowledge, have any issues with forged documents. They're good people, and I'm happy to call them my friend. So, or my friends, I should say. So, Auslander, it seems to me you got some interesting thoughts on many topics, on many things. Oh, Auslander. First of all, just because something is called the golden age of anything doesn't make it so. That might be a little bit of historical revisionism happening, and I don't think any country is made better by kicking a group of people out of it, especially not if it's being based on, again, race or ethnicity or any of these kind of characteristics. But generally speaking, I'm not in favor of any country kicking anybody out. I think that's usually the sign in some ways of a weak country. If it means you're not, it either means you're not capable of, policing yourselves effectively, and you're not capable of solving your own problems. You instead choose to expel them somewhere else. Um, oh, we got the hearts. I think that might be Smokey. And thank you, as always, for being here. That is Smokey. Interesting. Do you think the Canadian budget's going to pass? 10 votes. 4 yes, 4 unsure, 2 no. So I was saying, no worries, Smokey. I'm still trying to figure out what I can do with that thing I sent you and how I can make it work. I don't know why it can't. You should be able to just use the password I sent you. Basically, you go to your email, you click on it, you click whatever bank it is you use, and then you enter in your, if you have online banking, you just enter in the password I sent you through Discord, and it should be sorted out. But I'll see if I can figure it out. Because I don't really use PayPal for that stuff. But welcome, and I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you got to take a smoke break. How is the new apartment treating you? I hope it's treating you well. Oh, so maybe yeah, that's possible. Because not every bank is set up for e-transfers. Former Prime Minister, he's not the Prime Minister anymore, but I will agree with you, he does. Justin Trudeau. Good, I'm glad it's great. I'm glad it's going well for you. And I'm glad the apartment's going well for you. It's been, what, a week since you moved in? And Spirit, how are you doing? Thank you also for being here. By the way, and this would, 4 days, almost a week, this would apply for you, Smokey. Anybody else who's interested, normally on the 21st of the month, I do a 24-hour live stream, 2 p.m. on the 21st to 2 p.m. on the 22nd. This month, it's a little bit different because I have a 3rd degree in my lodge that night, so I won't be able to do a 24-hour live stream. So I'm debating, I have a couple different ideas. What I may look at doing is on that day, doing a couple different shorter streams, doing a live stream that's exclusive for YouTube channel members, and doing a doing a stream exclusive for YouTube channel members, and doing a stream exclusive for Patreon members, both paid Patreon members and free Patreon members. So I may do just a series of those in the morning of the 21st of September. And also because on the 23rd, I need to travel to jolly old England. So babies taste, hi brother, hello, I assume taste vlogs, I assume that you're a Freemason when you say brother. I hope you hit the like and subscribe button. You're a Patreon member and you are a YouTube member, at least according to the green you've got. There you go, Spirit. So you're doing it right. You are doing it right. I don't know about that, brother Courtney. I'd have to check that out. And good for you for getting new clothes. I am from Kerala, India. Well, welcome from India. Please hit the like and subscribe button. And thank you for being here. I think, Smokey, somebody gifted it to you. So bought the membership for you for 1 month. If you don't do anything, it'll just, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it'll expire on its own at the end of the month. Gotta look spiffy. You gotta look spiffy. It depends, again, on which lodge you're at. If they have a dress code or not. Might be kind of fun to do that as a stream one day. Masonic Lodge dress codes. I think it was lawn, if I recall correctly. Um, not in most Canadian jurisdictions, certainly not in Ontario. Um, you unless you do like a casual day, you get permission. But there are lodges in the States, Texas, even in Illinois, where I've seen brethren come to lodge with jeans. I've seen brethren come to lodge with shorts. Even in Mexico, not Mexico, sorry, Michigan, I've seen the same thing. So it really depends on the lodge you're in. Um, I'm trying to mix things up. Yes, Spirit, you got to keep mixing things up. You got to keep things interesting. If you're not willing to mix things up, it's not any fun. So you keep mixing, stir it up, Spirit, stir away. We're going to give it a bit more time, another 15 minutes. Then I'll start talking about the budget, at least what's proposed in it. Now, again, we don't know for sure if the budget's going to pass. My suspicion is it will. Maybe with some changes to get some people to vote for it, but I don't think they'll even need to make the changes, to be honest. But we'll see. But either way, I did want to let people know what's in it. So if you're a Canadian Mason and you're looking at potential government programs or services that can be of assistance, what is available to you? We just wear suits. Yeah, well, there's a lot of different types of dress codes. Some people, their dress codes are business meetings are suit and tie, and degrees are tuxedos. Some people, it's degree or suit and ties, and business meetings is casual dress. Some, there's no um, dress code at all, but it's expected and understood that you'll kind of wear something nice for a degree, especially. And then obviously in the States, they have to wear a hat in the East. It's not really such in Canada, but clothing doesn't make the man, and the apron doesn't make the mason, right? The mason makes the apron doesn't make the mason. Um, you need to keep both in mind. Well, yes, then don't do that, Spirit. I don't want to hear anybody dying on my stream because they cheered for the wrong sports team. I would say so, especially at the start. Yeah, at the start, when you're first new to Freemasonry and new to your lodge, it's better to, overdress than underdress. Because overdress and showing respect for the lodge, underdressing might get you looked at. And new people should always kind of err on the side of respect. Obviously, as you develop relationships, then that changes, but err on the side of too much respect than the opposite, obviously. I think I mentioned this a few streams ago. I think it was maybe 2 or 3 streams, but I just watched A House of Dynamite. It is a pretty great film on Netflix. Anybody if anybody else has seen it, maybe let me know what you think about it. Maybe let me know. I'd be curious what you would do in that scenario if you were the president. If anybody doesn't know, House of Dynamite, it's 20, basically it's a 20-minute time span shown from different perspectives, where a nuclear missile is detected over the Pacific traveling to America. It's going to hit Chicago, which makes me particularly sad. And the president has to decide whether to launch a retaliatory strike or not. And yeah, it's a really, really good movie. I enjoyed it quite a bit. They don't actually show you what the president decides. That's the whole point of the movie. Well, the whole point of the movie is the crazy situation we find ourselves in with basically having created the ability to destroy ourselves, but they never show you what the president decides to do. Got me thinking, if I was the president, which would never happen, thank heavens, but if I was the president and I was faced with this decision, what would I do in that scenario? That sucks, Smokey. I'm really sorry to hear that. Um, I guess we can all take a moment to spare a thought for snail mail for the subscriber of Smokey, and I hope people can take that as a lesson. Don't drink and drive. It's not worth it. It's not worth it for the risk you're putting yourself in, nor for the risk that you are giving to other people. So I am anti-drunk driving. Again, take that for whatever it's worth. Not that it, not that it's a brave thing to say, but I think it doesn't hurt to remind us not to drink and drive. And stories like, or sad tales like from Smokey, right? Who lost a friend and one of his YouTube subscribers. And a good reminder for Masonic lodges to make sure that when it comes to their meetings and stuff, they are encouraging safe alcohol consumption practices. Not letting people leave the building intoxicated and driving home. If they are serving alcohol, not over serving, having their smart serve or whatever necessary requirements are for alcohol service. Right? In Ontario, if you're going to serve alcohol in a public or private function, you need to have your smart serve. So follow those rules. There's also insurance requirements, etc., etc. All right, let's give it a few more. Let's see who else joins, and then we'll start talking about it. You still have my Merchant Navy uniform along with my mess wear in my closet. Well, I'm sure those work coveralls were probably pretty greasy. They're work coveralls for a reason, right? I'm sure that they had quite the history to them. But I did not know you kept your Merchant Navy uniform and your mess wear. I'm sure that they were. I'm sure they have a lot of good memories for you. So. I'm very sorry to hear that, Smokey. So yeah, very sorry to hear that. But I hope that if nothing else, people can take from it the lesson to be really careful with their actions. And if you're thinking about drinking and driving, do not do so. Let's give it another, again, 5 minutes. Then we'll start talking about budget 2025. More particularly, what's in there that could be potentially of benefit or affect Freemasons. Positive, negative, or neutral, and poll 14 votes in terms of whether we think the budget's going to pass or not. 7 are unsure. Looks like about 5 think yes and 3 think no, is what it looks like. How, by the way, Smokey, are your live streams going? Are they still going well? You're enjoying them? Everybody, if you get the chance, subscribe to Smokey's channel. He live streams pretty regularly. I think, at least once or twice a week, if I'm not mistaken. So you should check out his stuff as well. Let me know if I got that correct or incorrect. It's a good way to look at it, Smokey. Good way to look at it. Yeah, so when's your next live stream going to be, actually, out of curiosity? I'll have to try that coffee. I'm pretty much done with Mr. Keeps' stuff, so I'll have to try some of that. I mean, I still obviously get my free coffee from from the casino. Thank you, Caesars Windsor, for that. However, it wouldn't probably hurt to try some new stuff. Is that a Texas brand? Or is that something you ordered in from somewhere else? Or is that something you got from Colorado? Okay. Well, everybody, the best thing to do, like I said, is subscribe to his channel. Click the notifications bell so you always see when he is going live. We're going to give it a couple more minutes. Colorado, nice. Rock Nation. Hello, Rock Nation. I think you've been on the stream before. That name sounds familiar to me, unless I'm mistaken. But how's it going? So that must be why your name sounded familiar, because we met on Grindr last night. I do, but you didn't pay for dinner, Rock Nation. So that disappointed me. I'm not that cheap of a date. Nice. I've been trying to do more shorts as well, more short YouTube content, otherwise known as YouTube Shorts. Yeah, but you didn't pay for dinner, Rock Nation. Please hit like and subscribe, by the way. Let's give it another couple minutes. All right, Rock. I think I'm going to have to put you on timeout. Having said that, it's still great to have you here. I try to go 6 monthly. 6 monthly for what, Dad? That's okay. Trolls keep life interesting. If you don't want to get trolled, you shouldn't be on YouTube. That's one of my kind of go-to lessons. Apparently, he's got some weird ideas. Budget. Hey, having a budget is smart, right? Whether it be for your country or for your Masonic Lodge or for yourself. That's a good question, Brother Courtney. I mean, for me personally, it's always been, I'll be honest about where people are incorrect. But beyond that, I think you just have to try to demonstrate that you live your life in a certain way, right? So for me, it's like if somebody has a negative conspiratorial idea about or surrounding Freemasonry, I may not be able to convince them. In fact, I probably wouldn't, that they are incorrect or that Freemasons are good. But hopefully, I can at least convince them that I am good. It's the old, I've given the quote a few times, I can't convince you that professional wrestling is real, but I can convince you that I'm real. And I kind of have the same approach to it. I can't convince you Freemasons are good, but I can convince you hopefully that I'm good. And if I can, or at least that I try to be good. And if I can convince you that I'm good, then hopefully you start to reconsider Freemasonry. But you're never going to convince people Freemasonry is good by just telling them how wrong they are. None, to my knowledge, Nam, none. We don't have influence over any economic markets. I wish we did because I'd use it to get myself rich. However, we do not because I'm still not rich by any means. So that's not even necessarily a negative conspiracy per se, but that's definitely one conspiratorial idea that a lot of people have about Freemasonry is that it has influence over economic markets or bond markets or whatever it might be, which is simply not the case. Same thing, nothing. Freemasons are not involved in assassinations of any type. So I'm very sorry to let you know that. So I've brought this up a million times. You cannot separate the conditions of a country, whether that be economic, political, social conditions of a country, from the conditions of Freemasonry therein. So it does make me feel cooler too, Spirit. So part of that means we as Freemasons need to be paying attention to what's happening within our country, political and economic situation. And as people may know, a couple days ago, I think it was 2 days ago, the Canadian federal government finance minister released the government's 2025 budget plan. Now, it's not been passed as of yet, so we don't know for sure if it will pass. However, there did exist within the budget several, if it does pass, several types of funding, programs, and services which could be potentially of benefit to Freemasons, or more generally should at least be aware of, should be aware of and potentially take advantage of. Right, I'm getting this from the budget.canada.ca/2025 report. You can just basically Google in Budget Canada 2025 and it pops up. And this is Chapter 3, Empowering Canadians, particularly Section 3.3, Protecting Canadian Culture, Values, and Identity. And to anybody watching this who's not a Canadian, but is a Freemason in a different country, perhaps looking at you, Spirit, I hope that this will maybe encourage you to consider if there's anything that you can do within these, because your country may not have the exact same programs, but it probably has similar programs to preserve things like heritage, culture, values, identity, and in almost every country, Freemasonry is in some way, shape, or form connected to the culture, the values, and the identity of a country in which it's located. In the Philippines, Jose Rizal, its founder, is a Freemason. Same thing within Italy, Garibaldi. Our first prime minister here was a Freemason. So in many countries, the culture, the value, the identity of the country is in some way intertwined with Freemasonry. And so Section 3.3, Protecting Canadian Culture, Values, and Identity, there are certain sections of this chapter, of this budget, I wanted to touch on and mention. The first, empowering seniors in their communities, for better or worse. The age of, thank you, Jocelyn, the age of Freemasons is not going down, it's going up. In Texas, the average age of a Freemason is 67. I don't know what it is in Ontario or in Canada, but I believe it's in its probably early 60s based on what I've seen, which means many Freemasons either are in or are creeping slowly towards senior citizen status. Under this section, empowering seniors in their communities, far too many of our seniors face isolation in their retirement years, and some experience ageism, poor health, reduced mobility, poverty, and even abuse. I would say we in Freemasonry are already doing our part to push against seniors facing isolation within their communities and within their retirement years, by providing them a place to go, to visit, to hang out, whether it be at lodges, meetings, or at informal social events. We're already fighting against that. However, in this section, Canada's new government is helping to address this by empowering seniors to thrive in their communities through the New Horizons for Senior program. The New Horizons for Seniors program, with a current annual budget of $70 million, supports projects that improve the quality of life for seniors and promotes their full participation in Canadian society. The program offers up to $25,000 to support projects in local communities, such as new fitness equipment in senior centers, and up to $5 million to support projects that are national in scope and that can benefit seniors across the country, like financial literacy classes. So, the national thing, it's harder to organize because Freemasonry is not national, it's province by province, jurisdictionally. But consider this statement. The program offers up to $25,000 to support projects in local communities to support the quality of life for seniors. So is there anything, any type of project that your Masonic lodge or Masonic building could do to either support seniors within your community or to support seniors within the lodge, right? And what are some of those things that it could be? For example, could you organize a seniors coffee club where once or twice a month you set aside a time to invite either, again, senior citizens from the community as a whole or seniors in your lodge to your building, to your lodge building, for coffee, cookies, snacks, maybe board games, maybe have presentations, right? And because there's up to 25,000 in projects, you could, get funding to cover the cost of food, coffee. Maybe you have every meeting, you have a different special type of food or a banquet or a celebration, supplies for things like board games, books. And this also, if you open up this program to non-Masons, gives you a chance to promote Freemasonry to senior citizens, in the community. And as they note above, right, far too many of our seniors face isolation in their retirement years, and some experience ageism, poor health, reduced mobility, poverty, and even abuse. So having a Masonic building open its doors to senior citizens for, let's say, a twice monthly seniors book club, seniors get together, not only does that bring people into your building, not only can you get funding for that, but you can maybe promote Freemasonry as a way to combat isolation, to combat reduced mobility, to combat being alone in your senior years. And again, the worst they can say is no, but there's no harm in applying. Also not underscore Chris, I'm a senior in school. Well, that's awesome. Also not Chris. I hope that as you are a senior in school, you will also be a subscriber to this channel and someone who hits the like button. So that is the New Horizons for Seniors program. Again, if you are in Canada and you're part of a Masonic building or Masonic lodge, why not consider up to $25,000 to support a project in your building? And again, it could be a million things. It could be having twice monthly yoga instruction, right? So maybe you bring in a yoga instructor to work with seniors, do some limited mobility yoga. They could do yoga while sitting on a chair. They could do light stretching. But you use the 25 grand to pay the yoga instructor to, come out and, and do the exercises with the brethren or with the seniors. Again, open up to seniors and non-seniors. They get free yoga. You get to support your building by bringing people into it, and you get to promote Freemasonry, and you get to promote a local business as well. Connecting Canadians through cultural experiences and community celebrations. Freemasonry is part of Canadian culture. Freemasonry is a part of the culture. Culture is experienced locally in our towns, neighborhoods, and public spaces. These investments will help bring Canadians together at festivals, national moments of celebration, and community-driven cultural events across the country. Budget 2025 proposes to provide targeted support to strengthen participation, community identity, and cultural access for Canadians in every region, including 21 million over 3 years, starting in 2026, to Canadian Heritage for the Building Communities Through Arts and Heritage program to support local festivals, community anniversaries, and community-initiated capital projects. The Windsor Masonic Temple is one Masonic building that used the Building Communities Through Arts and Heritage program. I was very proud of the work that we did within that program. I've posted about it, I've talked about it. I hope more people will check it out. But if you're a Masonic building and you have a anniversary or an event or a project that you want to celebrate, you can get funding to help you pay for those celebrations. Goodbye, Jocelyn. Thanks for being here. And it's a lot of work and effort, but believe me, you can get a ton of funding and it can help you big time. 46.5 million over 3 years, starting in 2026, to Canadian Heritage for the Canada Arts Presentation Fund to support professionally presented art festivals or performing arts series. We within Freemasonry, many of our buildings have a ton of available wall space and available shelf space. Why not take advantage of those spaces and offer them to artists to present their work? There's funding that can help pay for some of that space. Or if you need to build, let's say, a designated space, like you need to build shelving and a designated space to show off the artwork, again, you can do that through potential funding. 20 million over 4 years, starting in 2026, to Canadian Heritage for the Celebration and Commemoration Program to support Canada Day celebrations. If you are a Canadian lodge, Canadian building, Canadian Freemason, and you want your Masonic lodge or building to put on a Canada Day celebration, 20 million over 4 years for the Celebration and Commemoration Program to support Canada Day celebrations. See if there's funding available for it, right? If you're an Acadian Masonic lodge, Celebration and Commemoration Program to support National Acadian Day. Canada's artists, creators, and cultural entrepreneurs are at the heart of our creative economy. Their work drives innovation, supports good jobs, and ensures Canadian stories and voices are heard at home and around the world. Right? The biggest thing about this is making sure that we within Freemasonry are supporting our artists. Support local artists, support local businesses. Right? There's $6 million over 3 years, starting 2026-27, for the Canada Council for the Arts to support professional artists and art organizations. Again, if we within Freemasonry are supporting our professional artists and art organizations by providing them space to show off their work to either members or the public or both, that is going to be incredibly helpful to the community, to those artists, and it's something for which we may be able to get funding for. So basically, my recommendation to any Canadian Mason out there, especially if you're a Canadian Mason who is involved in your building or lodge social events, check out Canadian Budget 2025, Chapter 3, Empowering Canadians. Check out Empowering Seniors in Their Communities, Connecting Canadians Through Cultural Experiences and Community Celebrations, Investing in Canadian Creators and Cultural Economy. Check out all of the above. Dad, here locally, that's true, but that doesn't mean just because there's a senior center already doing what I'm saying, that doesn't mean there can't be additional groups doing what I'm saying. Or there may be, for example, the senior center may have those programs, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but maybe the Masonic building can take those programs Tuesdays and Thursdays. Or maybe the Masonic building is in a location, like maybe the senior center is in a location that's difficult for seniors to get to, for some seniors to get to. Maybe the Masonic building is a more logical choice, a more logical place to go. So, right? Don't don't ever forget about the possibility of, just because somebody's doing something, it doesn't mean we cannot potentially do things better. So, chapter 3, I would recommend specifically checking out the New Horizons for Seniors program and the Building Communities Through Arts and Heritage program. Well, I do not follow any religion per se, Pete Jones. Please hit like and subscribe if you're not done so. To be a Freemason, you need to believe in a supreme being. That doesn't mean you necessarily need to follow a specific religion. I would, I guess, describe myself as spiritual in some ways. I grew up Anglican, right? But I would not describe myself as being any particular religious belief. Well, that's one way, Dad, for sure. And Brother Courtney, I think, the whole point of this channel is to promote the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to our communities. A big part of that is our buildings being as open to the public as possible, having special events, plays, theaters, whatever it is to bring people in, as well as engaging with the local economy, purchasing items from the local economy, right? If we want to be relevant to people, then the people need to be, if we want to be relevant to our communities, then the community needs to be relevant to us as Freemasons. Gamification, yes, that's a part of it as well, for sure. But that is more about being relevant to Masons once they join. How do we maintain relevance to keep people engaged? Being relevant before they become Masons, but getting them interested therein, that is a much more of a challenging format to it. But I would encourage everybody to please check out, yes, my work on gamification. Well, so in any degree, when you're joining, you have to swear or take an oath on a volume of sacred law. However, that volume depends on your religious affiliations and beliefs. I've seen an eagle feather used. I've seen rocks, or I've heard of jewels being, like rocks being used for Wiccan Masons. I'm an 18th degree Scottish Rite. I'm a 3rd degree Master Mason, and that's the degree that matters the most, is the 3rd degree. So let me take a moment. So Courtney, what you want to do is you want to type into Google. You may have already read it. Oof, my computer, my table is making a terrible sound. It's more than a game. Medium, square. Courtney, if you copy and paste, it's more than a game, medium, square and compass, you should come across my written work. Pete Jones, okay, I mean, I'm Ontario Mason and Ontario Scottish Rite. I'm 18th degree. Most people go all the way to 32nd, but I went to 18. What part of Ontario, if you don't mind my asking? I'm from Windsor. Well, I was born and raised in Winnipeg, but I currently live in Windsor. Well, that's the place to do it. Hamilton's got the Scottish Rite Club, an absolutely beautiful, gorgeous building. Um, been in a ton of movies, interestingly enough, and TV shows like The Good Witch, or Good Witch on Hallmark, Crimson Peak, It Chapter 2, Murdoch Mysteries. Aniket Singh Gupta, please forgive me if I spelled that or pronounced it incorrectly. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Please take a moment to hit the like and subscribe button if you are new to the stream. And Pete, let me know if you have other questions about Freemasonry. Same thing with you, Aniket. Okay, there's lots of Freemasons in India. Freemasonry is, I don't know the numbers, but I know that there's many Freemasons in India, and I've interviewed one for my channel a few years ago now, so. But it's great to have so many, I'd love to visit India. I've never had the chance to visit yet, but I've met a lot of, I got a lot of friends from India. They're all incredibly friendly people. So like I said, I'd love to get there and visit at some point. It'd be wonderful. And learn more about, like I said, Freemasonry in India by seeing it firsthand, potentially attending meetings there. That'd be awesome. No worries, you don't have to join. I'm just happy that you're here. And it's much, much appreciated. So thank you so much for joining. And as always, just anybody watching this, really, that's just what I wanted to go through today. I've already been through it, which was the budget. And I hope, if nothing else, this encouraged, if you're a Mason and you're not from Canada, these types of programs and grants and opportunities for funding for events, projects, renovations, this is available to everyone. When I say that, the names might be different, the programs might be different, but I'm sure America has some type of grants and funding opportunities, either through government or private sources. Same thing in Brazil, same thing in Mexico, same thing in England. Take a few moments and do some research. See what type of funding is available. Or if you, are so inclined, you can even write a letter to, it could be your member of parliament, it could be your congressperson, it could be your senator, and explain the type of funding opportunities you want in, your either local or state or federal budget. If you want more, for example, incentives to preserve heritage buildings as a way to preserve your Masonic building, write a letter and suggest that, right? If you want more funding to support community groups for, elderly people or community programs for elderly people, write a letter and recommend that. And then see if you get it, how you can use it to help your Masonic brethren who might be older. Right? You should never be afraid to advocate for the things that you think will help Freemasonry and help your brethren. And that includes on a political level. So Pete, if you don't mind me asking, when you say I wouldn't join though, is there a reason in particular you think you wouldn't join? Which is perfectly fine, by the way. There's no rule that says anybody has to join. I'm just curious if you have a potential reason as to, or thought as to, like why you might not be interested in joining. Well, I mean, Pete, the budget is definitely real. Whether you like it or not is a different story. But for example, the funding for the Building Communities Through Arts and Heritage program, my Masonic building used that program and used some of those funds to preserve the heritage qualities of the building. So, I can guarantee you that it's real. And I applied for a lot of other funding, some of which we got, some of which we didn't. But the point is, these are real programs I've had experience with before. And I do appreciate the fact that the current government is looking to continue their funding. Um, I think it's, well, Pete, for whatever it's worth, I've been a Freemason for almost 20 years. I joined in 2007. I've never seen anything that would indicate that Freemasonry is a branch of something sinister or is sinister in and of itself. So I am very sorry to have to disagree with you, but based on all my experiences, Freemasonry is, uh, if it's practiced appropriately and properly, and if its philosophies are understood, it is a force for good in the world. So, and I truly believe that to be the case. You can call me naive, maybe, but that's what I think. And that is true as well, Pete. We are all people of different opinions. This stream would be very boring if everybody shared the same opinion as me. Though I hope everybody shares the same opinion as me, because I'm right about everything, including the fact that I'm the best YouTuber and the most handsome YouTuber to ever exist. So, and if I say it on YouTube, it has to be true. Naive about the budget existing, or naive about me being the best YouTuber? Thank you, brother Courtney. Hey, I like this. I like this haircut. It keeps me, it makes me aerodynamic when I'm wheeling down the street. Um, you know, otherwise the wind gets my hair and I just end up going backwards. I try to play well, Pete, if I can. If you're going to be on YouTube, you got to keep it enjoyable for yourself, right? Now, obviously, like I said, I have no clue if, I mean, I think it will, but the current budget may not pass. I guess my hope, oh, well, there you go. Yes, fair enough. What my point is, like, if you're, wherever you live, if you're a Mason and you're in any way, shape, or involved in the administration of your lodge or the building in which you meet or a group associated with the Freemasons, whether you support the government, don't support the government, whether you support the budget, don't support the budget, you should know what's in them and you should know potentially the type of funding opportunities that are available. Um, right? Because, whether I support, let's say, my local city council or government or don't, if the city council and city government has funding available for a project that could help the Masonic building, I want to at least know about it, bring it to the lodge for them to decide. One of my biggest complaints has always been that we as Freemasons are not um, being properly aware of the things that are happening within our communities that can be a benefit to ourselves as Masons or our Masonic buildings or lodges or groups. A great example, this drove me crazy. Um, um, a few years ago, Ontario offered the staycation tax credit. What it was if you were traveling within the province of Ontario, for if you're traveling in the province of Ontario, some of the costs associated with that travel, specifically, staying in a hotel. I think it was some eating out, but staying in a hotel and the ticket costs for flying or buses or whatever it is, or gas mileage, you could get some of that money back on your taxes. I think it was, and I could be mistaken, but I think it was 25% of your cost of a hotel and like 50% of the cost of your your transportation costs, right? I remember really pushing uh, that tax credit information to my Masonic brethren, because if you're traveling, let's say 5 or 6 hours in Ontario to get to a Masonic event, you need to stay overnight in a hotel there, you need to travel there. Like, make sure you know about these tax credits that were available. It was done as a way to encourage local tourism during COVID, right, or after COVID, to help give the tourism economy a boost. And for, there were Masons who maybe wanted to travel to Masonic events, but staying in a hotel, the cost of transportation might have been prohibitively expensive, who didn't know about these tax credits that are available. It could mean the difference and actually encourage them to go, right? You need to pay attention to what's happening within your community, country, city, and how it can affect Freemasons and what you can do about it, right? Like, I knew some Masons who traveled, you know, 5, 6, in one case, 7 hours within Ontario for a Masonic event, stayed in a hotel and didn't know about the tax credits available. And by that token, how many Masons who could have traveled if they knew about the tax credit chose not to, right? Because they thought it'd be prohibitively expensive. I'm doing well, Dream Seeker. How are you doing? Thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. Actually, a couple, and even this goes to what I was saying about writing a letter. Um, a few months ago, a Canadian member of Parliament um, put forward a motion to create a Canadian staycation tax credit, which was based on the Ontario tax credit. It was the same idea. It was basically, if you are traveling within Canada, a percentage of your travel costs, that includes transportation, hotel accommodation, and eating at restaurants, you could get a tax break on those things or get some of that money back. It was a proposal. I don't know if it passed or not, but I don't think it did, to be honest. But I wrote a letter in support of it. And I brought up the fact that I'm a Freemason. And I said, as a Freemason, I traveled to Masonic events within Canada. Um, and having this would encourage me to travel to more, to potentially stay in more hotels, to eat at more local restaurants, and to support more local economies. So my day is going well, Dream Seeker. How is your day going? I hope it's going well also. Let me know if you voted, what your thoughts are, if you have any thoughts on what I said or my suggestions thus far. Keeping busy is good. Keeping busy is important. Don't keep too busy um, that you don't enjoy yourself, right? You got to find that balance. So you voted for yes. I think it'll pass as well. So I would vote yes also. I think I'm done. Well, I can understand, Rainy Girl, that philosophical idea. And there can be some comfort in choosing not to care, um, right? Based on kind of the perception that we're screwed no matter what. And it's an understandable way to feel. However, for whatever it's worth, I don't think that's necessarily possible. I think it's very hard for people to actually trick themselves into not caring about the things they care about. Usually, despite our best efforts, we can't help but care. Now, what you care about or how much you care, that can be modified, but I would say don't necessarily think we're screwed anyway. I mean, I said it at the start of this stream. There's no country in which I would rather live than Canada, the greatest country in the world. So maybe things are going to be okay. As Dream Seeker says, especially when you got kids and it's their future. That's very true. That's very, very true. Well, nothing's wrong with caring about fishing. Where do you normally fish? Do you have like a lake you go to, or is there a place that you love fishing? I never was one who got into it myself. I was never a big fan of fishing. However, I hope that you guys all enjoy it. There's been a few Masonic lodges that have done like fishing events and stuff, fishing tournaments. Nice. Is it catch and release, or do you get to eat the salmon? I visited Sudbury years ago. Nice, nice town. I was only there for a night, but I liked it. It was a cool town. So you get to eat them, or is it catch and release? I mean, by the way, another thing we as Freemasons can maybe do is consider having having a fishing tournament, especially if you are at a place where they have millions of salmons every year. I eat them before they start spawning, then they turn ugly. Okay, I mean, I've said a million times, I love seafood, I love fish, I love salmon. We're going to give it a few more minutes. We're done with the main topic, which again was the Canadian budget and the initiatives therein that I think could be a benefit to Freemasons or that we should consider. That's not saying I support or don't support the budget. We'll see what happens. There's no guarantee that everything will remain. Though my suspicion is when it comes to the Chapter 3 and kind of social programs or local initiatives, those tend to be very popular. So it's rare that anybody gets rid of them on any side of the political spectrum, right? Usually it's hard to gain support for cutting funding for local programs. Well, I don't even think it has to be viewed as a handout per se. I mean, if you want to hold if you want to develop a program to support senior citizens in your community, and there's a fund to help you with that from the government, I mean, why not take advantage of it, right? Especially because you might be working with a group who do not have a ton of disposable income in the first place, which is what puts them at risk of not having programs. Right. But, I mean, call it whatever you will. There's no question. People like money that comes not necessarily to them, but people like it when money flows into their community. Whether it comes to them directly or not, I think is sometimes irrelevant, right? Like, if you're walking down the street and this happened in like Tony Clement's writing, suddenly there's a whole bunch of new garden areas and new public spaces and revamped parks. That's not money coming to you necessarily, but it's still money flowing into your community. And people tend to like that. AKA, you know, the Tony Clement effect. Rainy Girl 65. That's why I like Masons. They care about their community. I hope we care about our community. I care about the community, right? I've said a million times, we as Freemasons, hope everybody's okay. We should care about our communities. I've said before, right? Like to be a Mason is to believe, to be a Mason is to fight for a better community through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. Thank you, Dream Seeker. And I do try my best. I think part of my responsibility as a Mason is to rep for Windsor. Again, one of the, in my opinion, one of the greatest cities in the world. I love it. Very underappreciated, both by people within and without Windsor, right? But if you want a relatively inexpensive place to live, that's right next to Detroit. It's 4 hours from Toronto. It's 4 hours from Chicago. It's 9 hours from Ottawa. 9 from New York. It's got a beautiful riverfront. It's got the Windsor Masonic Temple. It's got a really great food scene that's growing. It's got a beautiful downtown. It's just an awesome, awesome place. Good. I'm glad to hear it. That's the type of thing that we as Freemasons should be doing. And so I'm glad to hear it. So to whichever lodge it was that was cooking the burgers and raising the money for charity, keep up the great work. We're going to give it a bit more time when I see who else joins. Please, as always, take the moment, hit the like and subscribe button, and do the 99-cent super chat if you'd like. Thank you, Rainy Girl. Well, make sure that you hit the notification bell. Right. So that whenever I do a stream, you can find it and you'll see when I post stuff. Hit that notification bell, hit like and subscribe. And Rainy Girl, I appreciate you being here. So thank you so much. Oh, I love spicy ramen. Spicy ramen is the best. I mean, spicy anything is good. I'm a fan of spicy food, but I like spicy ramen in particular. Welcome Darkness / welcome Pennywise. Thank you for being here. Even if it's a different phone or different account, Darkness, you can still potentially hit the like and subscribe button. And thank you for being here. Oh, that's a good question, Brother Courtney. That would actually be a fun podcast to do. I mean, generally speaking, it was economics, right? It was the economic issues. The fact that economically, it was less and less, not even economically, just the demand for stone works, stone cathedrals, stone castles, these grand buildings, they were just reduced. And as the demand reduced, the number of operative masons reduced along with it. By the same token, the number of men looking to join a social group or a social club for a variety of reasons, including social safety net style reasons, just grew, right? So you had a combination of declining demand for stonemasons, plus an increasing societal demand for social groups and support. And as a consequence of that, you just saw, rapid growth in one and a pretty steady decline in the other. I think we as Freemasons should, however, be better about knowing more about the history of our operative stonemason roots, and how to, what's what I'm looking for? Where they come from, and even knowing how to, it'd be really fun to learn how to carve things out of stone, for example. Even just the techniques. I think that'd be really cool. Jocelyn McDonald says bye. Goodbye, Jocelyn. But thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I hope that you're doing well. Good. I mean, I know you do, brother Courtney, and that's wonderful, Courtney. That's wonderful to see. I hope that you'll continue to, research a bunch on our wonderful fraternity, and I appreciate the fact that you share those things with us. I think it's really, really appreciated and wonderful to see. We're going to give it another about 10 minutes. Basically, we're back at the point of waiting to see who wants to join and who wants to chat. Not too much longer, probably till around 3 p.m. So another 10 minutes or so. I have to get ready for a meeting I have tonight. But I want to give it a few minutes to see who else wants to join, say hello, etc., etc. Turnip is hard to cut. I wouldn't want to do that. So, I mean, I would say get pre-cut turnip. Would be my suggestion for whatever it's worth. Prod, Texas. I think that's how I pronounce it. Thank you. I hope you're having a great day as well. Thank you for being here. Anybody else still wants to? It's not too late to give a 99-cent chat, 99-cent super chat. We're going to give it a couple more, then we'll be ending this stream. But Prod, I hope you're doing well. Again, we're giving it a bit more time. We're just going to wait to see who else joins. Please hit that like button, subscribe button. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry? Positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love to hear them. Thank you, Prod. That's incredibly kind of you. Oh, and it was pounds. Prod, forgive me. Are you from the United Kingdom? Because I will be traveling there in about 2 weeks. Okay, that's right. I taught you before. You're from Somerset. I mentioned before. I'll mention it again. Nothing but credit to Somerset Masonic District for a really excellent, really well done Masonic newsletter, which I'm subscribed to, and for the work that they've done. But I really enjoy their newsletter. So keep up the good work. Or keep up the good work, Somerset. Where is Somerset located? Like, how far from London or Heathrow would it be? Because maybe while I'm in London, I can get myself to Somerset. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do while I'm there. That's the toughest part because I'm there for 5 days and there's so many things I want to do. I have no clue, like, no clue how I could get to like all the places I want to get to. That's going to be the super challenging part. No worries, I will. But just curious, so how far would Somerset be from Heathrow Airport or from London, let's say? Like if I wanted to go there, could I do a day trip? Could I do like how long would it take me to get there? Because it's got to be London, Newcastle, and Edinburgh. Those are the three for sure. I'd like to make it to Haltwhistle if I could, which is about 2 hours, I think, from Newcastle, give or take. Thank you, brother. From Waterloo, it is a 2.5 hour train, being the middle of Somerset. Okay, 2.5 hours isn't bad on a train. No worries, brother Courtney. Thank you for being here. I'm going to be ending this stream in a second. Well, in maybe a couple minutes. I just wanted to give it a couple more just to see who wants to join. As always, please hit like, please hit subscribe. Thank you all for being here. And don't forget, if there are government grants, fundings, programs, ideas, incentives that you believe can be of benefit to Freemasonry, you can advocate for those things. You can write letters about those things. You can and you should, as a Mason, pay attention to what's happening within your community and your countries. Not in a, you can support whoever you want to support, but whoever the government is, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is knowing the services, programs, and incentives that are available, for example, for heritage buildings, for community groups, and seeing if there's anything that can be used for a Masonic purpose. Thank you for being here, Brother Courtney. As always, it's wonderful to have you. And I very much appreciate all of your support throughout the years. All right, let's say 4 more minutes, just in case anybody wants to jump on and say hello quickly. We're going to give this another couple minutes. Still time to jump in the chat, say hello. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry? Now's your chance. But I'm going to be ending the stream shortly. Just waiting a couple more minutes, see if anybody jumps on to say hello. And if you want to do a super chat. Well, maybe that's what we are as Freemasons, Mr. Keeps. Maybe what we are is customer service agents in some ways. I know you're being a little bit facetious, but I kind of take that a little bit more seriously. In maybe some ways we need to think of ourselves in that way. I actually did a piece on Medium about this for National Customer Service Day, right? If you think about it, we in Freemasonry, we don't have customers in a classic sense. But we do have members, we do have applicants, we do have the public. And when we as Freemasons are communicating with them, we need to be communicating in such a way as to provide them good service. You think about it in terms of like an applicant, or maybe somebody not even applicant, but just somebody interested in learning more about Freemasonry, contacts a Masonic lodge or building to learn more, you could argue that they are, in a sense, customers, and we need to speak to them in a manner consistent with customer service, right? If we are not getting back to, or good customer service, I should say, if we're not getting back to them in a timely manner, if we're giving them incorrect information, if we're giving them conflicting information, like we tell them, one day we'll meet them 5 p.m. Tuesday, Then at 4:30, we change the time, then we change it again. You know, if we are not engaging in good customer service, and that includes good customer service in the sense of um, having easily navigatable and understandable websites, having decent information about our lodges, having up-to-date contact information for whom one needs to contact. If we are not doing all of that, all of those things, we are not engaging in good customer service, and we're going to lose those potential applicants. We're also going to lose members if, as they're trying to contact, let's say, the Grand Lodge or maintain contact with their lodge secretaries or administration, it's not working for them. So, yeah, I guess that would be my answer to that. Terrifier, if you give me a 99-cent super chat, I will do the whole alphabet, and that will be what I leave it on. But you gotta do a 99-cent super chat first. Okay, well, since Terrifier doesn't want to do that, I think we'll end this stream. Thank you, everybody, once again. It's been a blast, and I will see everybody potentially tonight at 1 a.m. All right, I'll see you guys later.